after the feminist movement, women still make less, they work more, and get mixed messages that can lead to everything from anorexia to abusive relationships. Here to tell us, please welcome psychologist and author of What Is Your Self-Worth? A Woman's Guide to Validation, Cheryl Saban. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Thank you. What is your self-worth? It's all about women finding their own voice and knowing what their self-worth is, but
yes.
For the past 30 years, you've dealt with a lot. You were raped at 18. You had 2 failed marriages. You were a single mother who couldn't even get medical insurance. So, I mean, the dark place that you went through, how did you come to a place where you even, learn to value yourself?
Because the options were so dismal. I mean, to go down from there wasn't going to help my life in any way at all. And so I finally realized that to change my life for the better, even though I had some really disturbing experiences, I had to take responsibility to make that happen because nobody else was coming to save me.
Right.
It needed to start with number one.
Yeah.
I needed to find my own self-worth to be able to do that.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to hit bottom.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But it's interesting, though, because our self-worth, I think, is in this constant battle with the value that society places on us. You quote some interesting statistics in your book. 3 out of 5 of the world's poor are female. 1 out of 4 of American women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime.
Yes.
70% of children who are not in school are girls. And 45% of women, they decrease their standard of living after going through a divorce. I mean, why constantly are women getting the short end of the stick, do you think?
That statistic, by the way, is when women go through a divorce, their standard of living decreases by 45%, and a man's increases by 15%.
So there's an incentive there for the men.
Why does his increase?
You know, they're
not providing for someone, or
when you think about the women who are going through divorces, it's a very marginalizing experience, first of all, especially if you were a stay-at-home mom and you were a house manager and that's what you were doing with your time for all of those years.
Right.
So perhaps in a divorce, and this happened to me, I'm just speaking from personal experience, maybe you haven't been in the traditional workforce for a while, and so in order to get back into that workforce, how do you bank on the equity of time that you've invested in raising wonderful children and having a home? Society doesn't give us, they don't have a value set for that, you know? I mean, we don't even get to feel that value inside of ourselves.
Last week they said it was worth $122,000, I believe it was quoted, for a mom who's been managing the home. I think any mom who's doing that deserves a CEO and
Is your check in the mail? I don't think so.
This quote. You say, expecting the world to treat you fairly because you're a good person is a little like expecting the bull not to attack you because you're a vegetarian.
Yes. This is one of my favorite quotes by Dennis Holey, the writer. And it's like, you know, women often think that if we do a good job and we're good and we're kind and nice, our bosses are going to just reward us by giving us a raise because we deserve it. But that's not what happens.
I heard that women don't ask for the raises as much as men. Is that true?
We don't. We're afraid to negotiate for ourselves. We're a little bit, that's what I mean, that's why this quote is so funny. We just think that the world will treat us fairly, and that's why, if we're nice.
Yeah,
but that's like
doesn't work like
expecting
that.
the bull not to attack you just because you're a vegetarian.
It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be nice, though.
No,
you should be nice, but don't expect anybody to reward you for
Because
it.
you're being nice.
Right.
You need to be an advocate. I think we need to put ourselves out there more. And this is not about blaming men for any of this. This is about taking personal responsibility. And I'm not trivializing any of the things that women go through because it's complicated. You know, society sends us all kinds of mixed messages about what we're supposed to do. I think we walk a line between tradition and modernism.
But don't you think that your self-worth is determined in childhood? If your family treats you as though you're worthwhile and you're valuable, I think that holds you as an adult. Very
always.
well. You can go through. I went through a period where I didn't feel it, but it came back because I had it as a child.
But then are you hopeless if you don't have that as a child? I think there's a way to overcome that too, right?
Yeah, with therapy. It's very hard.
It's hard, but I mean, my parents loved me. I had a family,
you've
wonderful
overcome it,
family.
though. You're here
but
now.
I'm here now, but I did go through a good portion of my life where I really didn't get it.
But sometimes life just sucks, you know?
Yeah.
But you said, speaking of that, you do devote an entire chapter in the book that talks about mixed messages that girls get about, from their childhood and who they should be. And I think that it seems like boys and girls are kind of on a different track with the way with the messages that we give them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we see it all the time. And you might try to have a little boy and then offer him the toys that are pink and soft, and for a while that works. And girls too. I have a boy and 3 daughters, so I've tried to mix it up and give them other things, give them both.
Right.
They gravitate in certain ways to a certain color scheme, but then we continue to promote that. Little girls are exposed to sexual innuendo way before they know what it means. And we are not vessels to be filled or possessions to be controlled.
That's right.
We need to teach boys and girls really early that girls are powerful, girls are strong, and to be respected. And I think that's a message that we don't send enough.
Yes.
That they need to be respected.
I think it starts with ourselves. So
I
it's a
think you should
personal responsibility.
raise boys like girls and girls like boys.
No. Why?
Because then it will mitigate all of the forces that are coming.
Raise them as a boy.
Good citizens and human beings.
Give the girls trucks and the boys dolls.
What you just said was interesting, Sherry. I know we have to go, but what you just said is interesting because it's talking about exactly what she just described.
Right. It evoked a very reaction of raising my son as a girl. Cheryl, I know we don't have any more time to talk about it. We wish you could be here longer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. Everybody in our audience is going home with Cheryl's book. What is your self-worth?